Modern synthetic theory of evolution. The modern synthetic theory of evolution explains the new species develop as a result of biological changes in a population. It illustrates the functions of natural processes, geographic isolation, breeding, and genetic variation. According to the contemporary synthetic theory of evolution, new species are created as a result of gene variants in a population. It explains the roles played in evolution through genetic variants, breeding, isolation from other species, and natural selection. Theodosius Gregorievich Dobzhansky. Theodosius was born January 25, 1900, and he died on December 18, 1975, aged 75. Theodosius studied at the University of Kiev. Theodosius was a well-known evolutionary biologist and geneticist. Because of his contribution to the development of the modern synthesis, he was a key figure in the field of evolutionary biology. Dobzhansky, a Russian Empire native, immigrated to the United States at the age of 27 in 1927. Dobzhansky contributed to the discovery that two different copies of the same chromosome occur in a different frequency in various insect populations. For example, chromosome A may be more prevalent in one population, while chromosome A is more prevalent in a nearby population. Charles Darwin. Darwin Charles Robert, born in Shrewsbury, England on February 12, 1809, and died in London on April 19, 1882. The evolution of biology by natural selection theory was put out by a British biologist, Charles Darwin. The idea of species change over time, give rise to new species, and share an ancestor is known as descent with modification, according to Darwin, who described evolution as such. Darwin began to wonder about the formation and evolution of species after studying the plants and animals he had collected. This research persuaded him for the theory of natural selection, for which he is best known. Darwin contributed to the theory of evolution by the idea of natural selection-based biological evolution. Julian Huxley. The phrase was first used by Julian Huxley in 1942 in his book Evolution. The modern synthesis, English evolutionary biologist, eugenicist, and internationalist Julian Sorrell Huxley, the financial reporting system. He supported natural selection and was a key player in the modern synthesis of the middle of the 20th century. Sir Julian Huxley was born June 22, 1887, and died February 14, 1975, aged 87. He was knighted in 1958 and served as the United Nations Educational First Director. Huxley was a well-known humanist who held influential positions in humanist organizations and wrote extensively about humanism in his books. In his opinion, there is no separate supernatural realm, and God is a hypothesis constructed by men. Today, the God hypothesis is no longer considered to be scientifically tenable. The modern synthetic theory of evolution. The process of evolution and how the new species first appeared. The fundamental flaw in Darwinian theories was that they were unclear regarding the cause of variation and the nature of inheritance. In order to analyze the actual method of evolution, scientists had agreed by the middle of the 20th century to use all available knowledge, including genetic, ecological, geographical, morphological, and paleontological information. This concept of evolution takes into account elements including genetic drift, recombination of genes, reproductive isolation, mutation, migration, and natural selection. These elements provided an excellent framework for explaining evolution in various circumstances. My personal opinion. My personal opinion on this theory is that Darwin could have gone more in depth on discovering more things about this theory than stating that it's a new species it created as a result of gene mutations in a population. According to the contemporary synthetic theory of evolution, it discusses the interplay of natural selection, genetic variety, breeding, geographic isolation, and more on the process of this evolution. And I personally don't believe in this. A quote from Charles Darwin about evolution. It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is the most adaptable to change, that lives within the means available and works cooperatively against common threats. A quote from Julian Huxley about evolution. The Earth is one of the rarest spots of the cosmos where mind has flowered. Man is a product of nearly 3 billion years of evolution, in whose person the evolutionary process has last become conscious of itself and its possibilities. Whether he likes it or not, he is responsible for the whole further evolution of our planet. A quote from Theodosius Dobzhansky about evolution. Nothing in biology makes sense except in the light of evolution. Terms. Here are some words you might not understand, and here are the meanings for them. Ecological, the relationship between living things and their physical surroundings. Synthesis, the blending of the concept to create a theory or a system. Evolutionary, referring to or signifying the thought to have occurred that distinct types of living organisms have evolved from earlier forms. Geneticist, a special or student of heredity, including the variety of inherited traits. Immigrated, the act of relocating permanently to another country. Morphological, a branch of biology and deals with the form and the structure in animals and plants. Paleontological, scientific study of life and geological past that involves the analysis of plants and animals' fossils, including those of microscopic size preserved in rocks. Thanks for listening. Here are my sources.